And we continue to watch live coverage of the funeral services for Officer Seara Brooke Burton, Richmond Canine Police Officer who was shot and killed in the line of duty and is being honored today in quite a poignant and emotional way in the gym at Richmond High School. You're watching the officers file out right now, hundreds of them, there to support her family, to honor her life, to honor her legacy. I'm joined by Lawrence Police Chief. We are getting a little emotional here too. Gary Woodruff. We've both been shedding some tears, Gary.
Absolutely.
This has been so poignant, so emotional. We've heard so much over the last month about Officer Seara Burton's service as a police officer in that short 4 years she was on the force in Richmond. But Gary, we learned about her as a person even more during the services today.
Yeah, absolutely. As a daughter, as a friend, as a partner, as a stepdaughter, you know, and all aspects of her life, and so indicative of just about every person that's called to service in the law enforcement profession. You hear stories like that all the time, and she's certainly indicative of that, exemplary of that, I might add.
Yes, compassionate, caring for everyone she met. I know one of the officers talked about a 7-year-old boy who came to the vehicle where her car is being held and said, you know, I want to pay tribute because I remember her and her dog at our safety day. So the youngest residents of Richmond felt her compassion, and then her family members sharing those personal stories too of the impact she made. Just so touching.
When it comes to interacting with the community, you never know when you're making an impact like that, when people are watching and paying attention to what you're doing. Sometimes you may never know that seed that you planted with someone may yield dividends, you know, sooner rather than later, sometimes years down the road. You never know, and it's important incumbent upon every public servant to keep that in mind. You never know when you're making an impact on someone, positive or negative. In this case, with Officer Burton, obviously her impact was overwhelmingly positive within the community.
Even one of the most poignant stories we heard was about a gift that they received.
Right.
Someone came to the Richmond Police Department with a wrinkled envelope, just with the words, "People from the street." And inside were 8 $1 bills from homeless in Richmond who wanted to make sure they were honoring her service.
Amazing, and they were giving everything they had there.
Right.
But it goes far beyond the $8, obviously. It's the gesture, and obviously the impact that the Richmond Police Department and Officer Burton has made on the community there. And yeah, it's just touching. It's so indicative of what we refer to as that silent majority that we know, you know, continually support the efforts of law enforcement.
And there are a lot out there.
Yeah, very meaningful.
We heard from Seara Burton's family as well. Her stepmother, Amy Miller, is actually an officer as well with Richmond Police. She talked about how they would meet in the parking lot in between shifts and wish each other well. She called her Junior, clearly loved her so much, so proud of her. And that was really powerful to share.
It was
memories.
Yeah, and to have that mentor. I mean, we've all had mentors throughout our careers, and to have that mentor right there within your own family, that's incredibly beneficial for a new police officer to have that positive role model, to have that mentor, and they made an impact on each other as they continued. And as we're seeing some of the file by there, still we see officers from all over the place. It looks like some NYPD officers there, maybe an officer from Texas. You can see the cowboy hat there, but. Anyway, yeah, the impact that she made, obviously, within her friends, within her family, within her agency. I might point out also that it's important, I think, for folks to know that when you become a canine handler, there's the enforcement aspect to the canine handler. There's also the outreach, the community outreach portion of that. You do the demonstrations, you do the things that canine handlers do to demonstrate the capabilities of the canine within the community, and that makes impact on people. And it can have a very positive interaction, a non-enforcement related positive interaction within the community, and she obviously did a lot of that as well.
And Gary, as we see this scene, and as you mentioned, officers from all over, including New York City, what does it mean to the family and to her fellow officers to see this kind of support from across the country?
Yeah, it's amazing. Every department that has experienced this, I mean, you're kind of walking on clouds through most of this, but it's overwhelming. But you see not just from Central Indiana or the state or the Midwest, but all over the country. Yeah, and especially the agencies that have experienced something like this. You join a fraternity that you hope you never had to join, but knowing that support is there is very meaningful, and that's evolved over the years. Also, there are so many organizations, from the COPS program, Concerns of Police Survivors, to the memorial team, to the critical incident response teams. When there's so many entities that contribute to an event like this, it's quite a collaborative effort.
Yeah, and the family and Seara, they have not been alone from the moment she was injured. Yeah,
from the moment she was injured, Seara has not been alone. There's been a police officer with her the entire time, and I think Officer Benedict spoke to that. Richmond Officer Benedict, thanking the Dayton Police Department in particular for their support of, and that is part of the profession, that thin blue line that we talk about. That we come together in moments of tragedy and in service to the community, certainly. And it's nice to be able to rely on. It's great to be able to rely on that, not only within your own agency, but from other agencies. You can easily get overwhelmed very quickly, especially in a smaller department.
Sure. Like
Richmond is. You can get overwhelmed in a big hurry. To have that support come from so many departments, it's overwhelming, but it's also just a critical need.
Yeah, hundreds of officers right now in Richmond to support the family and to support the fellow officers.